5 years of silence. Divorce was my escape, but he returned with tears in his eyes. Chapter 1: The Perfect Wife. Sophia Lin has perfected the role of the ideal wife in her 5-year marriage to Daniel Chen, a successful businessman admired by all. She's been applauded for her grace, composure, and loyalty, even earning the title of #1 perfect wife from a popular gossip magazine. To the world, they are a dream couple, but only Sophia knows the reality of her role, a companion in name alone. Behind closed doors, their relationship is one of formality, with Daniel keeping a cold, guarded distance. Despite her initial hope and passion, Sophia has slowly grown weary of the emotional void she lives in. Sophia's heart once beat for Daniel, but after years of his indifferent stares and preoccupied silences, her longing has turned to quiet resignation. She no longer clings to the hope of being the one he cherishes most. She knows she's not the woman who holds his heart. The signs have been clear enough, though unspoken. Finally, realizing she deserves more, Sophia makes the bold decision to ask for a divorce, hoping to reclaim the freedom and happiness she's sacrificed for so long. She packs her bags, bidding farewell to the life she meticulously built but never truly felt part of. Leaving Daniel's grand mansion, Sophia settles into a modest new home, ready to embrace a simpler life, without the shadows of unrequited love. Friends and family are shocked at her decision, but she feels lighter, freed from the expectations that once defined her. The days pass with a strange, peaceful emptiness, a stark contrast to the restrained opulence she left behind. Just as she begins to breathe a little easier, there's an unexpected knock on her door late one evening. Standing there is Daniel, the man who rarely showed any emotion, now looking disheveled and broken. His eyes are red, glistening with a vulnerability that's entirely unfamiliar to her. He takes a shaky breath, his voice raw. "Divorce?" he asks, his tone filled with disbelief and desperation. "Sophia, say that again." Confronted with his unexpected reaction, Sophia finds herself thrown into a whirlwind of emotions, questioning everything she thought she knew about him and herself. Chapter 2: Shadows of the Past. In the days following Daniel's unexpected appearance, Sophia is left shaken. She never expected him to show up at her door, let alone to be visibly affected by her departure. Memories of their marriage flood her mind, each moment tainted by his emotional distance and the unspoken truth between them. She recalls the many times she waited, hoping he'd turn his gaze toward her with even a glimmer of affection, only to be met with cold indifference. Her heart aches, but she reminds herself that she left for a reason. Daniel's unexpected vulnerability lingers in her mind, however, haunting her as she tries to move forward. Was he truly indifferent all those years? Or was there something deeper, hidden behind the walls he built so expertly? The more she thinks about it, the more doubts creep into her heart. She realizes that while she left to escape the pain of unrequited love, part of her has always longed for answers, for a truth she never dared to confront. But is she ready to uncover the complexities of the man she thought she understood? Meanwhile, Daniel is grappling with his own turmoil. He's forced to confront the reality of Sophia's absence and the hollowness left behind. For the first time, he's faced with the consequences of his emotional detachment, his long-held secrets inching toward the surface. The thought of losing Sophia stirs emotions he's spent years suppressing, feelings he never intended to acknowledge. But now, with her gone, he can no longer ignore the emptiness he tried to hide beneath layers of pride and restraint. As Daniel reaches out, attempting to bridge the gap he allowed to grow between them, Sophia is torn between her newfound independence and the lingering hope that maybe, just maybe, he's ready to change. Yet, after years of hurt and silence, she knows that words alone won't be enough to heal the wounds between them. She needs proof that Daniel's heart can finally belong to her. Chapter 3: The Hidden Truth. Sophia begins to see Daniel in a new light, recalling fleeting moments when his guard seemed to slip, times when he seemed almost human, even tender. She remembers a rare night early in their marriage when he absent-mindedly held her hand, his gaze softened as he looked at her, but then he quickly withdrew, as if catching himself. The memories make her wonder what kept him distant all these years and what could have caused him to finally show emotion. Though hesitant, she agrees to hear him out, curious about the truth he's kept buried. One evening, as they sit across from each other, Daniel begins to open up, sharing fragments of a past he'd kept locked away. He speaks of a lost love from his youth, a woman he thought he'd never move beyond but who left him scarred and guarded. He admits that he married Sophia not expecting to find happiness, convinced that love had eluded him forever. But somewhere along the way, he found himself drawn to her kindness, her quiet resilience, and her unrelenting faith in him. Still, he couldn't bring himself to let down his walls, fearing she'd see through the broken pieces he tried so hard to keep hidden. As Sophia listens, she feels a mix of anger and empathy. She realizes that, while his past hurt had been real, his inability to move beyond it had cost them both years of happiness. She's conflicted, torn between the urge to forgive and the desire to shield herself from further heartache. Daniel's words have given her a glimpse into his heart, but the years of pain still weigh heavy on her soul. Can she trust him enough to give their love a second chance? Chapter 4: A Choice to Heal. After hearing Daniel's confession, Sophia finds herself standing at a crossroads. She spent years waiting for this moment, waiting for him to see her, to finally let her in. But now that he has, she's uncertain if she's ready to risk her heart once again. Though Daniel has shown remorse, his past indifference has left scars she can't ignore. For once, she feels in control, and she knows that whatever decision she makes must be one she won't regret. Daniel, sensing her hesitance, tries to show her he's changed. He becomes more attentive, making small gestures he'd once dismissed as trivial. He learns to listen, to appreciate her presence without taking it for granted. It's a slow, painful process, but Daniel is determined to prove his love in ways he should have long ago. Each step forward rekindles a part of Sophia's heart, yet she remains cautious, wary of being hurt again. In a moment of clarity, Sophia realizes that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting the years of pain but rather choosing to let go of their hold on her future. She understands that Daniel's love may be flawed, but it's real, and he's willing to fight for it. She takes a deep breath, accepting that love is rarely simple and that sometimes healing requires a leap of faith. Hand in hand, they begin to rebuild, embracing a future that, for the first time, they'll face together. Their journey isn't over, but this time, they're no longer alone. With a renewed sense of commitment and understanding, they set out to create a love story neither of them had ever dared to dream of. Chapter 5: The Battle Within. As Sophia and Daniel begin to navigate their tentative reconciliation, the ghosts of their past continue to haunt them. The progress they've made feels fragile, like a delicate thread that could snap at any moment. Sophia is caught between the desire to give Daniel another chance and the fear of being hurt once more. Every gesture he makes feels like a test, a moment where she asks herself, is this real? Can he truly change, or am I just fooling myself into believing something that isn't there? Daniel, too, struggles with his own inner turmoil. The weight of his past actions presses heavily on him, and he finds himself constantly second-guessing his every move. His guilt over the years of neglect, his coldness towards Sophia, and the scars from his past love weigh on him more than he ever expected. But now, with Sophia back in his life, he's determined to prove that he can be the man she deserves. Yet, every time he looks into her eyes, he sees the years of pain and doubt reflected back at him. He knows he's walking on fragile ground, unsure if his love is enough to rebuild what's been broken. Their relationship feels like a constant battle between hope and fear, as if they're both holding their breath, waiting for the other to make a move. In moments of silence, the tension between them is palpable. There are days when Sophia wonders if she's been too hasty in giving him a second chance, and there are nights when Daniel lies awake, filled with regret, wondering if he'll ever be able to make up for the lost time. It's a constant back and forth, an emotional tug-of-war where no one feels like they've truly won. But amidst the battles, both external and internal, there are moments of soft understanding. Moments when Daniel reaches out in quiet ways, when Sophia allows herself to trust again, if only for a fleeting second. The road to healing is long, but they've both come to realize that the true test of their love isn't just about forgiveness, it's about learning to grow together, to face their past as individuals, and to build something new from the broken pieces. Chapter 6: The Unspoken Promise. One evening, after a particularly challenging week of misunderstandings and quiet tension, Sophia finds herself standing in front of the window, staring out at the city lights. The soft glow of the city beneath her feels like a world she's no longer a part of, a world she's left behind. Yet, she also feels like she's on the cusp of something new, something she hasn't fully allowed herself to embrace. The person she was before the divorce and the person she is now have begun to merge into something more grounded, more self-assured. It's in this quiet moment of reflection that Daniel finds her. His presence is familiar but somehow different, gentler, more open. He steps up beside her, standing in silence for a while, as if giving her the space to breathe. Finally, he speaks, his voice low but steady. "I know I can't change the past, Sophia. I know I hurt you, and for that, I'm sorry. But I also know that I want to spend the rest of my life making up for it." Sophia turns to him, her eyes searching his face for any sign of doubt or hesitation. For a moment, she sees only sincerity, a deep longing to rebuild what they once had, to build something even stronger. The old wounds haven't vanished, but the scar tissue is forming, no longer as raw as it once was. And in this moment, she feels something stir within her, an unspoken promise to try again, not just for him, but for herself too. "I'm not sure what the future holds," Sophia replies softly, "but I'm willing to try. Not because of who we were, but because of who we can become." Daniel nods, his hand gently brushing hers. It's a simple touch, yet it carries a depth of meaning, an unspoken promise that they'll face whatever comes next together, one step at a time. Chapter 7: The Long Road Ahead. As the weeks pass, Sophia and Daniel continue their journey, slowly building trust and finding new ways to connect. It isn't easy. Old patterns die hard, and there are times when the weight of their past feels like it could pull them under. They still have disagreements, moments of frustration, and doubts that creep in. But each time they hit a rough patch, they choose to stay, to work through it, rather than retreat into their old defenses. Slowly, the love that once felt distant and strained begins to feel more like something solid, something worth fighting for. Sophia starts to notice small changes in Daniel, ways he shows up for her that he never did before. He listens without interrupting, apologizes when he makes a mistake, and cherishes the moments they spend together, no longer taking them for granted. His love for her is no longer just a distant hope, it's becoming something tangible, something she can feel in the quiet gestures and unspoken words. She, in turn, learns to trust him again, to let go of the fear that once kept her heart locked away. Together, they begin to face the future with a sense of cautious optimism. They know that the road ahead will be long and filled with challenges, but for the first time in a long time, they both feel ready to walk it together. There's still much to rebuild, but they no longer view each other as strangers who happen to be married. They're two people who have chosen, time and time again, to fight for their love. As they sit together one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, Sophia realizes that their story is far from over. It's only just beginning. And with that, she knows that no matter what happens next, they will face it side by side, ready to write the next chapter of their lives, together. Chapter 8: A New Beginning. The months that follow bring new opportunities for Sophia and Daniel. They work on their relationship in ways they never did before, prioritizing open communication, mutual respect, and shared goals. Daniel, no longer hiding behind emotional walls, begins to understand the depth of Sophia's resilience and strength. He respects her not just as his wife, but as an individual with her own dreams and ambitions. Sophia, in turn, learns to let go of the past, to stop holding on to old hurts and grudges. She recognizes that forgiveness isn't just about releasing Daniel from his mistakes, it's about freeing herself from the weight of resentment that has held her captive for so long. She embraces the idea that love is not perfect, it is messy, complicated, and sometimes painful. But it's also worth it. With time, they begin to dream again, of a future built not on perfection but on the simple, beautiful truth that they have each other. There will be more challenges ahead, but Sophia is no longer afraid of what lies ahead. She knows that together, they can face anything. Their love, like them, is no longer distant or indifferent. It's real, raw, and growing stronger with each passing day. And in that moment, Sophia realizes that she's finally found what she was looking for all along, not a perfect love, but a love that's real, that's theirs. And that, she knows, is enough. The end.